So we found a character last week that I was, speaking of captivating, oh, was I intrigued by this guy, this Coach HP. And I thought, man, he must just be a really big Brendan Schaub fan, right? Certainly he doesn't do this with everyone. And, he's definitely not just this thing, this parasite that gloms on to anyone with any sort of notoriety and sucks everything he can out of them. That's definitely not the kind of guy he is. He seemed like just part of the Schaub mob,
Right. He's a Schaub mob, and that's literally it.
Yeah. He's not even a comedy fan. He just likes Brendan Schaub. So I went through some of his other episodes to see what Coach HP talks about, and I found a few months back, and I thought this was interesting because this would blow HP's mind. Remember when we saw Brendan Schaub at Laugh Boston?
I do.
Do you remember who opened for Brendan Schaub that night?
David Lucas.
As a matter of fact, it was David Lucas. So in Coach HP's mind, he must be like, what did that ticket cost? $10 million?
Very expensive. And imagine how hard Coach HP would have cried when we found out the fire alarm went off while he was
performing. Oh my God, you're stopping something so beautiful. Coach HP would have been willing to burn down that night when the fire alarm went off.
That's right.
This is heaven. Clearly, I've made it. So Coach HP did an interview with David Lucas, and I thought, well, there's no way this could be as glowing as the one he did with Brendan. And it does seem like he's a bigger fan of Brendan, probably. But boy, for David Lucas's age, he's quite impressed with David. It's interesting.
Today I told him that when I saw him. 2023, you're gonna be the biggest comedian in 2023. That's your year, man.
Thank you.
Based on nothing.
You're gonna be the best thing ever. Kill Tony's gonna work out.
Let me correct you. Not ever, just for 1 year.
That's right. Just 2023.
2023. Now we've got the luxury. We're at the end of 2023, and David Lucas' career is pretty much still in the same place. Funny guy. Comedians respect him and like him. That's about it.
I still don't understand how people want to podcast for a living, and it sounds like this. Like, that just bugs the shit out of me.
Well, Coach HP doesn't want a podcast for a living. He wants to be like the official motivational speaker or baseball coach or whatever it is he brings of the Rogan sphere. Like, he wants to be in that world so badly. There's, I think we're going to have to go through one with Andrew Schultz next. I saw you had Schultz on.
Oh, good.
That's got to be a slobber fest.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. Andrew Schultz actually has been innovative in his career.
Joe in the chat says David Lucas makes bank. Yes, he does. We're not.
Oh, no, David Lucas does quite well.
He does very well.
That's not what I'm saying. Like, David Lucas is probably the main success story of Kill Tony.
For sure.
Like, Hans Kim's doing very well now. William Montgomery. I think Kim Congdon started there.
In the I forget his name. The guy that does he can't speak, so he uses his phone.
I know who you're talking. I don't know his name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he does really well too.
But David Lucas would so far he's only 31, probably like the biggest comic that has come from Kill Tony, I would say.
Yeah, especially when the careers are over, he'll definitely.
And he's very young. So here's the thing about Coach HP is, like, if I had David Lucas on, I would probably say some of these things, like, hey, for your age, you've had tremendous success and you've been on a rocket ship recently, all that kind of stuff. But then I would move on at some point. I would have to start the podcast. And that's what fascinates me about Coach HP is it's all an intro where you're singing their praises. It's an hour of introing the person and explaining how great they are.
He takes the part that you say before you start rolling and just puts it in.
I mean, this guy in 2023, he's going to be a mess. This guy, watch out. 2023, he's going to be Seinfeld, Russell Peters, and Kevin Hart all in one.
Aaron Belial is the guy with the phone.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Stut Joe Stanley. He's a Gearhead member.
Oh, good. Well, thank you, Stut Joe Stanley.
David,
he must have been disappointed when we stopped talking about
his
name is Stut Joe Stanley, for Christ's sake. That's the only reason he's here.
He must have been real upset the last 5 minutes.
A waste of money.
David Lucas.
David Manuel Lucas. That's my full name.
David Manuel Lucas. Yeah. That's many Cubans have a Lucas last name.
It's an adopted last name.
Oh, it's an adopted name?
Yeah, my daddy was adopted.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
So David Lucas is about to give a fact that I find very interesting. Maybe David Lucas fans know this. I didn't know it. And he acknowledges he doesn't talk about it a lot. And it's interesting to watch because I don't do many interviews. We don't have guests on this show, really.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm a great interviewer. I've been mocked for my interviewing skills before. So I try and learn how to better myself. And I look at a guy like Coach HP, and I said, as an interviewer, where would you go with the bit of information David Lucas is about to tease to you?
Oh, it's an adopted thing?
Yeah, my daddy was adopted. Yeah, by the Lucas family. He actually my adopted great uncle is Frank Lucas.
No way, bro.
Gangster, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's adopted. I don't talk about it too much.
True or false? The greatest joke ever said is, I don't think unemployed people should be allowed to drink energy drinks.
I mean, that's one of my jokes.
True or false? I would have bet money. True or false? $1 million a day. Is that really what Frank Lucas was making? You know?
Yeah. Denzel played my uncle in a movie, and you're not going to follow up on that?
True or false? American Gangster. Was that done like to the letter, or was there some exaggeration? True or false? No. True or false? Some joke I heard you tell once is the greatest. It's the greatest formulation of words there has ever been. It's the greatest sentence ever put together. Was the setup, and then you know what? I'm sorry. The second greatest sentence ever put together was the setup, and the greatest sentence in human history was the punchline to that joke.
Be allowed to drink energy drinks. What do you think of that?
I mean, that's one of my jokes. It is a great joke. Rogan really loved it.
David's like, I don't know. Like Rogan liked it, I guess. It's a good joke.
This is the first minute of this interview, and you can tell he's like, fuck.
This is where you're right about like Brendan Shaw being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what to do when someone's heaping this much praise on you. Like,
no.
David Lucas just said, I don't talk about this much, but my adopted uncle is Frank Lucas, who Denzel Washington famously played, and is one of the most successful drug dealers of all time.
I don't talk about this much.
I don't talk about it much. I'm clearly willing to talk about it now because I brought it up.
Here it is on a silver platter.
If you'd like to talk about Frank Lucas, here's your opening. True or false? You are the greatest comedian of all time.
No, 2023.
True or false? You are a master joke writer.
But, you know, it's uncomfortable so far in the interview, but they get into their comfort word here.
He does have the perfect accent, by the way, to be this seductive.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the kind of accent you would script if a guy was just out seducing comedians.
The two weapons you have that are like killer, and I wrote it down there, is the laugh and using the N-word.
Whoa.
Like, oh, he's like, I had to write this down.
I wrote this down. How much of it did you write, Coach HP?
Can I see
you
that?
just write the N-word? Let me see that paper.
Let me see the paper.
Hold on. Coach HP doesn't realize what an insult this is.
I know. You're only funny because you're allowed to say the N-word.
You know what I like about you? It's not your joke writing or your observational skills. It's not your insight into any of the topics you discuss. You have a funny laugh, and you say the N-word a heck of a lot. This guy's the greatest.
Two weapons you have that are like killer.
Two weapons. These are your weapons.
You go to Afghanistan with these.
The Avengers of comedy. David Lucas is like, guys, I can throw in an N-word if you need one.
Yeah, this is your Captain America shield and your Thor hammer.
The laugh and using the N-word. Because every time you use it, it's like you paralyze him. Right? It's like you're a scorpion. You're like, yeah, watch this motherfucker. Bam.
I think David Lucas is laughing because he's like, those are my skills?
No, he's laughing at this guy's question for sure.
These are my skills? Did I say the N-word?
It's funny because the N-word does to you, like, to me, it's like the word bro. It's like, it makes us comfortable.
It is nice, like a nice warm blanket on a cold fall evening.
I've never heard someone say the N-word is their comfort word.
Are you tucked in? Here's an N-word real quick.
You ready for sleep?
All right, you've got your jammies and your chamomile tea. Let me throw an N-word at you. A wild sentence to say to this man.
Insanity.
Oh, I love how you are like a ninja with his weaponry. You have that N-word in your holster.
What's that like? Here we,
You're
here
like
we
a sharpshooter who knows exactly when to pull out the N-word.
weird thing to say to someone.
Just like when you look at comedians over the years, like Seinfeld and Gary Shandling, like brilliant observational comedian, like Brian Regan, they're able to notice things and twist them in a way where it's right in front of you. How did we not notice that in that light before? Or you have guys like Louis C.K. or Bill Hicks or George Carlin that are able to talk about topical things in a fashion that can actually change minds, but also be funny. It's very interesting. Norm Macdonald is a kind of a combination of both guys. And there's also guys that say the N-word at massive quantities.
You know what's funny? It's kind of like Coach HP was talking about David Lucas before this interview, and they're like, "Oh man, what should I ask him?" And someone was probably just like, "I don't know. This dude's crutch is the N-word."
He says the N-word a lot. He could tighten that up, probably.
You're right. He is famous for that. Here they are talking about happiest moments.
Coach HP, no one tell him about 90s Def Jam sets. He lose his fucking mind.
See what that guy did to that stool?
Oh, I am so comfortable right now.
I feel everything happens for a reason, right? And I'm like,
Never heard that.
you're probably the happiest on stage. I'm the happiest doing 3 things in my life other than making love to my wife. Right?
Saying the N-word.
Saying the N-word. Texting Brendan Schaub and watching you do stand-up.
Oh, you're not far off. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Banging his wife. We're setting that aside. Obviously, Coach HP, does a great motivational show and also wants you to know that he gets a nut off once in a while. That's very important to throw in there.
Yeah.
The other 3 things is helping kids out, helping teenagers and young guys. Like
I gotta say, these really are 2 different things.
It's the same thing, and he realized he only had 2.
I really love helping kids out, helping young adults. I like helping prepubescent children. I like helping older teens. I like helping people who can now legally drink for the first time. I like helping older people, younger people, men, women. I like doing 50, 60 things. So it's one thing. He likes helping kids, apparently.
Guys, like the mistakes I make, don't do. Speaking, doing research for this interview.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back a second.
Wait a second.
The 3 things he loves doing, which even that is a little flimsy.
By the way, I'm curious what was just cut out of this.
Oh, there was a cut there?
Oh, a big one.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you
I
where it
love
was.
screaming the N-word in certain communities.
I'll tell you where the cut is.
Yeah. You want to go to, Coach HP, it's interesting that you say comfort. Go to East Harlem and shout that word. See how comfortable you are.
Yeah, that city feels like a nice
warm bath.
Nice warm sleeping bag.
Yes. You put the bubble bath in, you step your foot in there. Ooh, it's a little hot at first. But then eventually it feels like a nice loud N-word being screamed at you. Ooh, now I can ease into that.
Teenagers and young guys, like the mistakes I make, don't do. Speaking,
Cut. That was a cut right there.
Yeah, that's it. I'd love to know. Yeah, that's true. I would love to know what was cut.
Because before the cut, he goes speaking like he's going to continue, and then it cuts.
Speaking to members of your community, they don't seem to like it too much.
Honestly,
boy, am I comfortable.
You know what? He might have gone that way.
They decided to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Dougie Fresh and the rest of the editing crew, I guess.
Doing research for this interview.
His greatest joy in life. Something he's never done, by the way. So he just found out that his 2 greatest joys in life, obviously giving back to children. We're going to call it 2 great joys because it felt, to call it 3 was a little loose.
If I was dating Lucas, I'd be like, dude, you don't have to say this. I was just going to talk about my uncle.
You sure you don't want to talk about Frank Lucas?
Not talk about anything else.
No, he's like, hey, I love 35 things in life. It is giving back to children, giving back to teenagers, giving back to toddlers,
Mhm.
giving back to infants,
Mhm.
giving back to babies,
Oh wow, I didn't think that.
giving back to first graders,
Oh, wow.
second graders,
Mhm.
third graders, fourth
You-
graders.
You're like really helpful.
Maybe that's what they cut out. He's just listing things.
I like helping.
Finally, the elderly. Now, number 2.
Doing research for this interview.
Mhm.
I'm the happiest guy. Going down the David Lucas life. Like I sat there and I'm in heaven, right?
Yay! Another Kill Tony is up.
Oh my god, I can't believe this guy's real,
Oh, thank God it is Monday. I can be happy again
dude.
when I listen to Kill Tony.
The hardest I've ever been was reading your Wikipedia.
But then Hans Kim comes on stage and my happiness goes away. Why did you do that, Hans?
Psycho.
Yay! David Lucas was on another podcast. I get to research him now. That's the other thing is like, I enjoy doing Why You Laughing very much.
Mhm.
And I enjoy talking about comedians that I like and respect or some that I didn't know about necessarily. I do enjoy that. I would say the research is the most arduous part of it.
Oh yeah.
The research is actually the part I like the least. I'm not like, yes, I get to read about Carl Reiner's military service. Fuck yeah. Alba, get in here. I got to get some of this juice out.
I'm waiting for one of those times that you say that and she walks in like, what? I'm just
I
doing.
got to unload something because I'm reading about the life of Bob Newhart. Oh, come on. I'm turgid.
Bob Newhart makes me want to come.
Oh, Fred Willard is so goddamn understated.
The Three Stooges got fucked over.
Oh, I'm about. Oh, Ted Healy. Ted Healy. Ted Healy.
This next one is meant to be.
Greatest joys in life. Reading about, not even like listening to, just researching David Lucas. By the way, apparently he knew enough about the Frank Lucas connection because he came a few times researching that, I guess. Oh, you don't mention Frank Lucas. You don't want to get me going. Is this offensive, by the way? Will this get me kicked off YouTube? I think it's a spot-on impression I'm doing.
This guy's such a lame ass. I think they'll look past it.
Thank God. It's kind. I feel like the accent is necessary to the Coach HP story.
I think so.
You know?
Yeah.
And the people that I had lined up some podcasts that people wanted me on, whatever, and they all canceled. Everybody canceled. And one of them was a great guy, a guy who runs a random golf club, a guy named Eric Anders.
Oh, this is interesting. I forgot. I should set this up better. Remember last time he flew to California just to talk to Brendan Schaub?
I flew here just to be with you.
This time he flew to Austin. David Lucas is part of the Kill Tony Rogan crew in Austin.
Mhm.
Coach HP flew to Austin, not even for David Lucas, just for other people. He was looking for random people to interview. And then luckily, by just a brilliant stroke of luck, the greatest day of his life occurred when this happened that he's about to describe.
And the people that I had lined up some podcasts that people wanted me on, whatever, and they all canceled. Everybody canceled. And one of them was a great guy, a guy who runs a random golf club, a guy named Eric Anders Lang, super successful. Second one is a big trainer named Mo Wells, who's John Morat's
I
friend.
mean, some of the greatest people in humankind have turned me down for a podcast.
Why do I know that name, Eric Anders Lang?
I don't know.
I have to look that up. That sounds familiar.
It's you might be thinking of Eric Andre and Artie Lang together.
Maybe.
But listen to that. Like, he's bragging about the names that have turned him down for a podcast. I mean, when you think of the great, like Elon Musk will not do it. President Joe Biden, former presidents Trump and Obama will not come near this podcast.
Oh, Eric Anders Lang. He used to work I think like Vice or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. That's it.
Well, these are just some of the names that will not associate with Coach HP. What a long list. That's like me being like, hey, guys, you should listen to Why You Laughing? I mean, Jerry Seinfeld, Louis C.K., Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle. These are just a few of the names that won't be on the podcast.
Yeah.
You got to check it out.
Do you want to know how lame you are? You said yes to me.
These people you have never heard of will not do this podcast, but it seems you had a wide open schedule.
stuff like that. And I go, fuck, I'm not gonna go.
Right.
But I ran into your content.
Right.
Okay, this is interesting. This is, to me, was a big reveal in the interview where Coach HP is like, I did not know who you were until 3 days ago.
I ran into your content.
I had no clue. I've never heard of you. And then luckily, by some stroke of luck, some miracle, he lands on YouTube and finds David Lucas, and just a light goes on.
You guys,
I know what my destiny is.
we need all hands on deck here to somehow get Coach HP to interview Blind Mike.
Yeah, you think we can get that done? He does. Get him to fly up to Boston, I guess, because he only does in-person interviews. I think
He will. Yeah, he'll interview you in my studio.
Oh, oh, this was interesting, by the way. In one of his intros, he and I may have been in Miami at the same time. He has a clip from, he was on with Big Cat and Roan, what seems like at the Super Bowl.
So did he play professional sports or no?
Oh, he's the greatest failure in baseball history.
I knew that. Did he make it?
No.
To the big house?
No. I can't tell. He talks like a guy that was drafted,
He was something.
but I can't tell.
To me that when I DM some people, I go, I'm gonna meet this guy and I'm gonna like this guy.
Right.
And right from I was with my kids in the park, and I heard of you, and it was Joe Rogan saying this is the best. I go, I've never heard of this guy before.
Right.
David Lucas, boom, you popped up. I saw your DM right there.
Right.
And I started going through all your content. And
Like, this is a crazy admission to be like, I had no interest or knowledge of you before I asked you to do the podcast. Here's how much of a parasite I am, is that I heard Joe Rogan say your name, and without any background research, I DM'd you and begged you to come on. Like, this guy is a leech of epic proportions. I don't understand it. Like, he masquerades as this motivational guy. He's just an ass kisser, right? Am I missing something?
You've hit my radar so little. I was like, this guy has to say yes to me.
I didn't know anything about you except that Joe Rogan has messaged you. Now, I don't know if you've heard my Brendan Schaub interview, but I want to be part of the Rogan sphere.
I don't know if you see the stain on this jacket. I'm not cleaning it.
So I actually sent a DM to everyone that Joe Rogan mentions. Boy, my DMs with the monkey that knows sign language is endless. I'm trying to get him on for.
Right.
And I started going through all your content. And by the time you responded back, I had already seen 7 things you've done. And I go, my job now is to find this motherfucker and tell him that in 2023, he's going to be the best.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You didn't know him.
Not only that, he goes, I have to find this motherfucker.
I have to find this motherfucker. I won't say the word that makes me oh so comfortable.
I mean, it might seem like I'm uneasy. It's because I can't say this word on camera.
That's great. Yeah, that's great to tell a black guy, by the way. You know what makes me really comfortable? I won't say it, but come on, you know.
If I say it, you'll be pretty pissed.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't know who you were, but I made it my life's mission to get you on the podcast and ask you nothing about your career.
Next, we have him talking about Kobe.
Yeah, well, so Brendan Schaub is equivalent to Drake.
Yep.
Which makes, obviously, David Lucas, which Lakers great?
Oh, you're like, bro, you're gonna be the biggest comedian.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Not forget the one.
Right.
You're gonna be the biggest comedian.
Right.
Like you have, because now if you were 43, I'd be like, you're a baby, bro. and look at this platform. It's like Kobe landing with Shaq.
Right.
Exactly like that. That's what I was thinking.
Now, as long as you don't fuck it up.
As long as you don't fuck it up. As long as you don't go on a helicopter, you'll be Kobe.
There will only be you to blame if you are not as successful as Kobe Bryant. I don't even get what he's. So I guess he's saying Shaq is Rogan, is my understanding.
Oh God! All right.
So David Lucas came to Austin, where Joe Rogan or Shaquille O'Neal has set up shop, and obviously that makes David Lucas Shaq, not Tom Segura, Tony Hinchcliffe, Tim Dillon, Shane Gillis. all these other people that have moved to Austin to be with Rogan
Mhm.
in that world, David Lucas clearly is the Kobe Bryant to Rogan's Shaq. I don't even understand the analogy. At least with Drake, he was saying like, "You're even more handsome than Drake."
Like,
But with this, I don't even get the analogy.
Shaq would definitely, if Rogan was Shaq, Kobe's definitely like Shane right now, the young up and comer.
Well, yeah, but Shaq is Rogan, which means David Lucas is actually ultimately going to be bigger than Rogan,
Right.
and then die too young, unfortunately. But
That's right. That's right. Just traveling to this next gig.
and one day, me, Jim Murray, and Justin Trudell will be in an airport, and Justin won't be able to speak as he shows us David Lucas's past.
This is the last one. It's the final question.
Okay, well, this is the big one. You know, you want to go out on a high note. Some podcasts have themes that they end with, or something important that they want to go out. This is Coach HP's like, hey, I got one last shot with you.
I just realized what his goal is.
What's that?
So he just said, "You're going to be the biggest thing," right? And he said
Yep.
the same thing to Brendan Schaub, and I'm
Yeah,
sure he
yeah.
said it to everyone he's interviewed. So when
Sure,
they do explode, he can be like, "Dude, I called it."
I called it. Yeah. Well, he was on. It's interesting. He was on with Big Cat and Roan, and the clip he uses, like Big Cat's like, "Boy, I love your positivity." So I think he just dupes millionaires. Like he has some energy about him that people are like, "I need a guy like this in my circle." Now it hasn't worked with anyone yet, but that's what he's angling towards.
Principled uncertainty in the chat. I see you on the Patreon a lot, so I will read this. Says,
Yes.
if Coach got Joe on, I fear he would R-word him.
Well, we'd be in no danger because luckily, if Joe Rogan was on this podcast, Coach HP would just visibly be masturbating.
He's like, dude, yes, I'm covered in baby oil. I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah, he wouldn't need any slurs. But
What's your comfort word, Wob?
yeah, this guy wants Rogan so badly and is doing it. I only found a clip of the Schultz one, and that was a little further back. I gotta find the full Schultz interview because, like I said, Andrew Schultz actually did kind of create the whole YouTube movement, and like he has been pretty influential in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So when Coach HP is faced with someone who has had some impact, my God, what he must be doing.
I mean, just Schaub alone, dude. At least he knew who
If
Schaub
David
was.
Lucas inspires you to say the one slur you definitely can't say, then he must have committed a genocide when Andrew Schultz was on.
Dude, I heard about you yesterday, but I'm comfortable enough to tell you I use the N-word all the time.
Like a nice robe on a cold winter's day.
But yes, this is the final question.
Okay.
David, and I don't say this to bullshit, man. I'm so proud of everything you've done,
Thank
bro.
you, man.
Proud.
Yeah.
I didn't know who you were 2 days ago.
He just explained to him. I found out who you were 48 hours ago.
I had no clue who you were. I was down on my luck. Everyone else turned me down. But I have no problem telling you, I am so filled with pride.
This
As the great Norm Macdonald once said, pride is what I most feel.
this YouTube golfer turned me down.
Meanwhile, this man, the last word I would use to describe him was prideful. He has left his pride all over Brendan Schaub's shoes.
Yes, he sure has.
I'm gonna encourage you all the way through.
Thank you.
I think there's so much potential.
Mhm.
I think the talent is.
Please
through the
stop
roof,
talking.
man. Before I let you, I always ask the guests at the end to ask me a question, man. Ask me, what can I help you with? Ask me a question.
Let's see.
Hold on. I always ask the guests, wouldn't you like to get to know me better? Like,
This
don't
is
you kind of wish this was reversed?
This is like, this dude doesn't feel shame at all.
Don't think about it. What would you like to know about me? And just listen to David Lucas, who's like, okay, so not only did you learn nothing about me in your research, you didn't do like 1 ounce of insight into who I am or anything. You now want me to interview you. And so David Lucas has just been polite to this whole thing. He's just like dumbfounded.
I feel like we gotta get David Lucas on this show and be like, listen, man, I have one question. Please.
Well, you would probably, to comfort him, you would have to be the
I feel like, dude, please tell me all about Coach HP when the cameras weren't on. Go.
Oh, let me get you a belt buckle, David. I'm gonna loosen that for you.
Why do you feel you failed in baseball? Can you pinpoint?
Oh wait, go back because I want you to hear how long the pause was.
He's like, fuck.
Before I let you, I always ask the guests at the end to ask me a question, man. Ask me, what can I help you with? Ask me a question.
Let's see.
Question for me.
Why do you feel you failed?
He's just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then he asks like the one thing where he's like, well, I only know one thing about you. So why did you fail at baseball? And Coach HP's like, I was hoping you would set me up for this.
My dad's right hook really.
I am the most famous abuse victim in Florida history.
Oh man.
By the way, we didn't really talk about that last week, but like crimes akin to Casey Anthony happen in Florida. And yet like a guy beats on his son and they're like, wow, he's famous now.
He's gonna have the worst interview skills of all time. Of all time.
Yeah, he's great. We got to find more Coach HP. Hopefully between now and the next time we want to talk about him, he drops a new episode with someone we like. But I'll go back to the archives and find his Schultz interviews and some of the others. You know who else he loves?
Who?
Here's the in, by the way, if you guys want to get me on.
Mhm.
Loves Dave Portnoy.
Does he?
Surprised?
Does he?
You surprised a guy like this would try and nuzzle up to Dave Portnoy as well as Joe Rogan? That's weird.
The guy with all those followers he likes.
Yeah. So
I need Coach HP to interview Shane Gillis.
that'd be great.
Because
That
he'll
would be
just be like, hey dude, these questions are fucking gay.
Uncomfortable. Yeah, so see what we can do with Coach HP, but he's been a real treat to have discovered so far.
Oh, for sure.